Hello, everybody, and welcome to the digital download. This is an ad hoc pop-up, so you'll have to bear with us. It turns out Tim, who normally would host this, has had his network go down. So, hello, everybody. Hi, Will. Nice to see you.
Hi, Adam. Good to see you as well. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. A little bit of excitement, this, doing stuff on the fly. Hey.
Absolutely. Got to show how we're agile.
Yes, although I feel I'm a little bit old to be agile, really, if I'm perfectly honest. And they're coming in thick and fast now. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Rob.
Hello there.
Hi, Rob and Tracy.
Hello.
How can we... That's probably better, isn't it?
See, that's double agility, Adam. You're learning as you go in terms of making sure we've got the right box size.
Well, yes.
I think we're on.
So Tim has just posted in our Slack group. Sorry, have a great time. My bad. So obviously he probably isn't going to make it for the foreseeable future. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the digital download. Hi, Eric. So this week the guest editor is Tracy.
Hello, hey everybody.
Hello. So what do you explain to us what we're going to talk about this week, or where the starting point for this is this week?
Yeah, so I had a really interesting conversation with a gentleman last week who was talking about how they had done they're creating so much more content, and that they had all these people on their team creating content and didn't really do anything. And so it got me to start thinking about what are the things that we do in marketing and sales that are kind of insane. And by insane meaning when that definition of insanity where you do the same thing over and over and you're expecting a different result. So I thought that would be an interesting topic for the conversation today, to just talk about what are some of the things that we have seen as this type of marketing and sales effort, and what are some of the things that maybe need to be part of the conversation in order for us to not continue doing so many things that are insane when it comes to our marketing. So this is where I really would love to start today. And I know Eric had sent me a little side message saying I have something to say about this. Can I go first? So Eric.
Hello, Tracy. Always a pleasure to be here. Can you hear me? Am I coming through okay? Because
You're coming through loud and clear.
Loud and clear. We didn't start with our joke.
We didn't start with our joke.
Start with the joke.
The joke was, of course, that we are supposed to be somewhere else.
The joke is poor Tim Hughes is running about frantically pulling routers and cables and Ethernet cables and screaming at the sky.
Well, I think there's a bloke outside his house, isn't there, with a Kango hammer drilling up the road, and he's saying, "Stop! My internet's gone off
everywhere." Full disclosure: I've got the biggest sneeze just about to come right now, and it's been coming since we came on, and it could come at any point. So I'll try and go on mute because it's going to be a big one. The crying CEO. So my point was, I think you're absolutely right. I spoke to a guy last month who said, yeah, this whole social media thing, it's I've been on LinkedIn for 3 years and it's not giving me anything. And there's such a lot in that message. It's not giving me anything, right? It's not giving me anything. Yeah, I've been doing the old LinkedIn thing for 2.5 years now, and it gives me nothing. Yeah, it will give you nothing. Every single thing has to be earned. Also speaking to a lot of marketing leaders, and this is now becoming a theme. Enough times it's happened now to become a theme, I would say, where marketing leaders are saying, listen, we get it. I was speaking to a marketing leader a couple of months back who said, I get it. I didn't do this at uni when I did my degree, this whole social thing. I didn't understand influence in terms of B2B and how a health and safety leader or an operational leader or an HR leader can be an influencer in their technical and commercial domain on digital. I get it. I didn't get it. I get it now. However, I am absolutely constrained. The sneezing Victorian CEO. Yeah. I'm absolutely constrained by a board and a C-suite who only want me to do what they know, which is all the stuff that they're used to, which is we advertise, we hire SDRs and sales reps, and we get people out at meetings and we do events. That's what you do, right? That's the commercial mix. So when I go in and say, guys, we need to start creating influence, we need to, get into social selling, and we need to do all that kind of stuff, they're just met with, I don't think so. I never asked you to expose us to risk. I just wanted you to do more marketing. So it's the definition. This is now becoming a theme. The definition of what marketing is, because every C-suite leader has earned their crust, right? You don't get a C-suite job in a lucky bag. You've probably earned your crust. You've probably been in that industry for 20 years-ish, right? You know your stuff and you've been around and you know how to sell products and services because you've been doing it for 20 years. You know how to do it. So when it comes to the marketing people, side note, I used to work for a company where the CEO called the marketing department the colouring in department. Side note, yeah, seriously. Marketing leader in tears in my office. We're trying to do all this stuff. We're trying to manage all this stuff. We're trying to manage this huge budget. And he just calls us the bloody colouring in department. Just put it to the colouring in department. They'll make a brochure. So that limiting of what is marketing, in many times in the C-suite's eyes, can be a limiting factor when the marketing person runs in with modern thought, modern will, and modern education, runs in and says, I have the answer. We shouldn't just be advertising products and services on social media. What we need to do is start actually building a package of content around all of you guys, your expertise, your knowledge, and all of our teams. Our personalities will actually bring people towards us, and they're met with, just go and do some more colouring in, shall you? Yeah, just do some more of that. So I'm finding that's a bit of a theme, is right now that we used to think that, I certainly used to think, well, marketing's broken. I don't think marketing is broken. I think people's perceptions of marketing is perhaps askew, and in many cases holding organizations back from embracing the new and what's seen as being bold and risky, which is actually now normal. It's just the way we work these days. Is still felt as a bit of a stretch. That's my tuppence worth, as Lenwood always laughs when I say tuppence worth.
I saw a great tweet the other day, and the tweet said, the guy said, this is still the best tweet that I've ever had. And he said, he was responding to somebody, and he said, he said, people, somebody had tweeted, and he'd said, it's easy to convince people. You just show them the data and then they reevaluate their views. And somebody had responded to that saying, well, actually, there's loads of research that shows that isn't the case. And he linked to 2 pieces of research. And the first guy responded saying, well, I still think I'm right. So my point being that, and obviously that, the joke there is that he made his point for him, that, I've shown you proof that you're wrong, and the person still wasn't prepared to change it. And I think this is the situation that a lot of marketing departments find themselves in. Like you said, Eric, they've been doing it for 20 years. They've built up phenomenal in-depth expertise in particular skill sets like marketing automation, email marketing, customer segmentation, all of those things. And what they see is a downward trend of success. So, we used to get a 10% response rate, then we got 9.5, then we got 9, then we got 8.5, then we got 8, and it's kind of gradually flatlining. And they're looking for more and more ways to change the angle of descent and turn it into an angle of climb. And the answer is we use better data, we use better campaigns, we use greater personalization, we use better creative treatments on these things. But all it's doing is you're changing the brakes on the truck that's careering downhill. And I think that a lot of people have got vested interest, not necessarily a financial interest, but they've got a vested belief system in doing it that way. And if you throw that away, what happens is you become irrelevant as a marketing leader, because I know everything that there is to know about this. So I do think that the challenge is one of getting people to really look at the data and believe it. It isn't a bad month or a bad quarter or a bad year or COVID. It's the fact that people don't learn, consume, and make decisions the way that they once did.
I contend that marketing has drastically changed. I do an exercise with new sales hires called style awareness to help
And you have
them
lots of
really.
style today, Rob.
Hey, we're
Lots.
going on vacation after this, so I'm in vacation mode already. The style awareness is really in order to help people understand their own communication style. But we map this out. There's a 4-quadrant grid, and we talk about the creative types, which are as far from the analytic types on this spectrum as can be. And I ask them, where will you find the creative types in this organization? And the answer, among other things, is generally marketing. That's what marketing was, the coloring in people. I remember my college days. It was the marketing people that were out and socializing and all of that. That was my college days. In that time, we've added all of these analytics and data and click-through rates and return on ad spend and so on and so forth. We've finally tried to and been able to put numbers to what we were just inherently going by gut. What was marketing showing? So on the one end of the spectrum, we have the creative types, and now we've gone to the other end where, well, you need to prove to us what you've done for us. And the modern marketers are all in the numbers, and that's pounding down their ability to be creative. There is this dichotomy that just has not yet been resolved. And I think the pendulum is starting to swing again, where it's no more just about what do the numbers tell us? How do we get better numbers through that original creativity, that coloring in?
But the problem isn't the problem with that if you think about truly successful advertising campaigns, and obviously we've got a split here, half of the people are this side of the pond and half of the other side of the pond. But in this country, a great advertising campaign, and I say great kind of from one perspective, is comparethemarket.com. And they use a meerkat, and it's called comparethemeerkat.com, which is the most vacuous and pointless creative treatment ever on an advert. However, I can only assume that it's whoppingly successful because they've been using the same creative treatment for 15 years. So there is this dichotomy, as you said, Rob, between what's good, which is a very subjective thing, and what works. And sometimes there is only a very small amount of overlap between those two bits of the Venn diagram. If you think about the Coca-Cola logo, it's a dreadful logo, utterly dreadful logo.
You hate that logo, don't you? I think it's lovely.
No, because it's incredibly complicated. The Nike logo is a beautiful logo because it's incredibly simple. You can draw a Nike logo, you can't draw a Coca-Cola logo.
Why would you want to draw a logo?
No, but my point is that an Apple logo is simple, a Nike logo is simple, an IBM logo is simple. A Coca-Cola logo is incredibly complex. And that surely makes it bad because it's difficult to apply, it's difficult to use, it has so many different components on it, all of which are fundamentally the makings of a bad logo. However, it's one of the most valuable logos and brands in the world.
Yep.
Well, and
I think context is
I
so
think
much.
it's interesting when we. Sorry, go ahead, William.
Thanks, Tracy. I think context has a really important part to play because, my experience has been through kind of manufacturing organizations, kind of older, more mature, with much smaller market size. So marketing departments there, weren't necessarily going out to try to find lots of customers and crunch the data around that. Because they weren't dealing with kind of thousands and thousands of different customers, and therefore I think they had a challenge, if you like, which was the marketing department certainly did a lot in terms of the internal comms, external comms, but the real strategic marketing side would take more from the CEO, the sales directors or business development directors. and therefore, in that kind of context, the marketing department probably was seen as the colouring in department because they didn't have such a foot in the camp of that kind of
We formed the strategy. We know where we're going, so you just follow behind and fill in the blanks.
Yeah. And by all means, look at the data, look at where the market is going for kind of trends, etc., and the impact that's going to have on our products and how we need to balance that out with our production facilities. But actually, you're not necessarily going out and creating kind of lots of new markets because it's very mature. I'm just also going to come back to the point that you made at the start, Eric, about the article that you saw. And I think, one of the things around taking this new approach is there's two kind of watchwords that come out of what you said for me, one of which is kind of patience. Whenever we try new approaches, we might like a magic wand or see it as a silver bullet and want something to happen, tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But, we have to work at it. And it demands a lot of work. And those who make it look easy generally have put a lot of work into it. And I think also to kind of pick up Matt's phrase or Matt's comment that he made about kind of pay it forward, I think within the social world, there is that kind of spirit of generosity. And I always I keep coming back to this because I think if you are generous and, it's easy for people to see that you're not really out there for yourself, but we're talking last week about kind of communities and ecosystems. If you're really making sure that you're part of a community and ecosystem and being generous with it, then that's where you start to make traction. Sorry, Tracy, back to you.
No, I think this is a really important piece of the conversation because it makes me think, what is the marketing department, or what is our definition of marketing that we've created before? Because I do think a lot of it comes back to creative treatment, right? And even like my background is branding, and everybody always thinks that means graphic design, right? But no, one, I'm terrible at graphic design, so it definitely doesn't mean that. But this is what people think it is, and then we treat it like that in our organizations, the coloring in department. Even like I've been in a lot of different marketing organizations over my time in the corporate work world, and that's how the department gets treated, right? Like there's one of the companies I worked for even had like an in-house photography studio, right? Because the marketing is the creatives, right? Like, and part of our jobs was to paint the wall so they could shoot different mattresses and stuff on the background. And people just think that's what marketing is. And there's so much more to it than that. Like there is advertising, right? Advertising is ads, and there's graphic design, and there's all of these pieces of marketing. But if a lot of the organizations still today are saying like the overarching strategic direction of the company is coming from the C-suite and is coming down through marketing, and we're just here to color in and make things pretty, then like, of course, that's what we're going to do. That's actually what our job description says. Our job description says we come to work and we make things pretty, right? But how does that, I want to kind of just extrapolate that in terms of the, like, what's, I think we've all kind of touched on it, but like, what's the danger of that? Or is that great? Is there just a level of clarity that we're missing in saying like, yeah, okay, you've been hired to be a graphic designer, but that doesn't mean that you're just here to color in this brochure. Yeah,
Eric. I think it's spot on. That whole thing about I find it time after time after time that the marketing, just echoing Will's point and some of the other comments that have been made, that there's this sort of like ever decreasing circle that marketing are just to make things look nice, to make us look pretty. If you were to sit down and say to a board, what is your marketing for? What are you doing it for? What's it supposed to mean? Well, it's about visibility and being seen. And no,
you need to wig for that, Eric.
You need to wig for that, yeah, exactly. Visibility and impressions and stuff like that. No, what's your marketing supposed to be doing? Get back to the pressure wash this away. Like, do the 5 whys, the root cause analysis. What's your marketing supposed to be doing? Marketing's supposed to be making people want to buy your products, right? Your products and services. It's supposed to be doing that. I want to be involved with that company because it feels great. Their stuff looks magic, and I understand them, and I know it's really going to help my business by partnering with them and buying their stuff, right? That feeling of want and that desire, that demand, creating that desire and demand that I need to be part of this company's, I need them in my business. And then ask yourself, what's it doing today? If that's what it's supposed to be doing, what's it doing today?
But isn't part of the problem the fact that we began this conversation by saying marketing they're the creative people. They're not the creative people. The design department are the creative people. The marketing department are scientists, and they need to be completely agnostic about stuff, and they need to be saying, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
And you're chief executive of the company, Eric. What are you trying to do? I want more visibility, more people ringing the doorbell to buy stuff.
And we're trying to crack 3 new territories internationally.
Yeah. So we're trying to expand, and what I want is for us to be seen as the premium provider, so we're not so subject to price compression when we're selling things. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so as the head of marketing, what we need to do is A, B, and C, and this is how we're going to spend the money to achieve that. Then we give it to the design department and we say, here's our idea. You're going to make this look pretty so people are attracted not just by the concept and the content, but attracted by how that looks as well. So that is the colouring in department, although it's not. It's creating something from scratch, and it's scraping that veneer of commonality of the brand, the visual brand identity across everything that they do. But fundamentally, the marketing's department is like the sales department. They should not be working from a creative design documents. They should be working from spreadsheets saying, we're going to do this and we're going to get Y back. Sorry, Will. Yes.
No. What you were saying just kind of provoked a thought, a reflection. Because I think when you're in a big corporate organization and you've got a big marketing department, it's quite easy that you've got the kind of people and the resources to be able to do this. What I was starting to think about is if you're a much smaller or medium-sized organization and you've got a pretty limited marketing department, and knowing we've got a lot of marketing experience here, what would be your advice in terms of, okay, you're setting yourself up, you're the marketing manager, senior person in how would you be scoping your marketing department, for today to meet the challenges that you've got in your particular organization?
I think the key thing is to separate this perception that marketing are colouring in, to separate that from the technical function of what marketing does. So some years ago, I ran a design agency. And what we used to do was we would have a conversation with the client. The client would give us a brief. We would come back and we would respond the brief back to the client. And then we'd say, right, we're going to come back with 3 creative concepts. So we would come back with 3 creative concepts. And if the client said, yeah, I don't actually like any of those, so I don't care whether you like them or not. You told us this was the brief. These are 3 things that fit the brief that you gave us. So one of them is safe, one of them is out there, and one of them is the one in the middle that normally will be the one that you'll choose. And that's the kind of the mode of operation. Well, actually, I don't like any of them. I want you to do another one. Okay, well, there'll be a cost for that because we've come back with 3 things that fit the brief that you gave us. And actually, I think that there is this perception that we're going to go away and we're going to create something and that will solve the problems. It'll be some inspirational thing. And yet there needs to be an element of creativity in it, but it needs to do the job. And I think that often we've got away from that, haven't we? The fact that marketing has a job to do. It's not to make things look pretty. It's to solve a problem.
I think it speaks, what you're saying speaks very much to Priscilla's point. Can you pull that back up, Adam?
Yeah.
Priscilla is bang on. I hear this all the time, and you want to almost stop these Zoom calls or these conference meetings and go, Can you hear your own words? Can you hear what you've just said? Where the win is actually spending the money and getting it done. Spending the money and getting it done. We've bought the thing. We've done the Google ads. We've got the thing at the airport. We've organised the events. We've got the new brochures. And relax. Done. Marketing done. And that whole disconnect from what is it that we do and how does it add value into this organisation consistently and scalably to meet the strategic obligations of the board or the C-suite. And I think I often find that the win is in getting it done. The win is in getting it done and then scrabbling together some clicks, impressions, and likes kind of data to baffle the board with when they go. So that $100,000 we spent on all that stuff, what did we get? And we'll just baffle them with clicks, impressions, click-through rates, website visitors, blah 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 blah. When actually we should be saying, for each and every pound, dollar, euro that we spent, when do we get 5 back, or are we losing 5? And when does it come?
When do we get profit of that or more back? Because if you've got a 5% profit margin and you spend 1 to get 5 in sales back, you're still losing, aren't you?
Yes, totally.
But it's the execution of the project done that's easy to measure. It's the clicks that's easy to measure. If you go back to sales and say, hey, you just closed that great deal, how'd you do it? Sales will say, it was me. I did it. There's, so then you get into all of the metrics around attribution. Well, was it this blog? Was it this ad campaign? And well, it's a combination of both. So we add a little bit of this and add a little bit of that. And you get so bogged down in the numbers because you're trying to go back and say, hey, marketing contributed to that sale. Yay, us. When sales will never give you credit for that. Sales did it because sales is good.
I used to love going into new companies and opening up their CRM, and it was almost like Groundhog Day. It was like, right, let's have a look at the CRM. All of this salesperson's opportunities, let's have a look at them. Every single one of them was a pre-existing relationship.
Yeah.
Every single one. Every single one. Me. I did it. Oh, man.
I have a quick thing to add to that Priscilla's comment actually made me think about. In my experience, we were very siloed. So the marketing department was there to do their thing. And no one really, I like that she's talking about that crossing over and sharing that information because it was not shared. And then my department, which I was education, but it was like they're trying to tell my story. They have no idea what's going on in my department. Yeah. Right. And that was very common. And I mean, were they successful in the likes and insights and shares and all of that? I mean, yeah, there was some success there, but then the marketing company would come into our board meetings to share all that information. And yet a lot of things we wouldn't know in those other departments. And so that was really a struggle. And I'm sure, there's lots of companies that probably operate in that same way.
And if you've got,
sorry, I just had to share because I thought that was really my experience.
I think that happens a lot even between sales and marketing, right? But at one point in my career, I was managing the sales team and the marketing team. And it was, even then I was like, I'm in charge of both of these. And how are they still staying so siloed, right? It's almost like a competition. Or a lot of people look at it as a funnel, right? So marketing is at the top and marketing is attracting lots of eyes. And then we funnel a marketing qualified lead down to sales. And then sales turns it into a sales qualified lead. And there's this like funnel, but that still keeps us separated, right? Like I'm gonna give you this, but we're not actually working together. And one of the things I wanted to come back to, like way back in the chat, Matt had said something about creating conversations, right? How like one of the great things about LinkedIn is that you can create conversations. And that is one of the key principles of selling, right? And when you're looking at salespeople, they are having conversations with people. They are solving problems. And the reason why people buy things is because a thing solves their problem. And there's a way to do that in marketing. You have to have the intention of creating it, because let's look at, Adam shared a post in our like internal chat where it was just like, it was this video, like it was a produced video, but it was just like a company talking about themselves and how they're awesome and how you should want to come and join this internship program or apprenticeship program. And like, that's not starting a conversation. This is you coming here telling me things, right? And I think that there's this bad trend of marketing, and I think we're starting to break it down now, but historically we're just like, okay, so marketing's job is just to like show up and say like, this brand exists and I'm gonna tell you all about this amazing brand me, and you're gonna want to buy it, right? That's my at the end of the day,
isn't that though part of what marketing has to do? Because you said, Tracy, that they're so siloed, and marketing seen as top of funnel. And actually, in reality, that isn't how any of us buy. We buy like this, don't we? So although it may be my post on social, or me meeting you at an event, or you seeing an advert, less likely these days, that triggers, that ultimately is the thing that catalyzes the sale. But even if I've met you at an event and you think to yourself, he's a really nice guy, I could actually buy something from him, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go and look at the company website. Does the company exist? Are they who they claim to be? You're going to go onto social and see what people around the company are talking about and what the company says about itself through its employees. You're going to see what the conversation is. You're going to go to a Glassdoor or TripAdvisor type site, if there is such a thing for that product or industry or service, and see what other people say about it. You can speak to some of your friends that are in that area that might be able to give you some advice and some competitors of that. And marketing's job is surely increasingly to make sure that all of these outposts are saying the things that people want to say. Now, we would assert that actually the main one now is social, which it is. And it is because people buy people, and you have the conversations in the social environment, and that's where you develop the relationship. And if you haven't got a relationship and I don't like you, I'm not going to believe you when you speak. I'm not even going to listen to you speak. But aside from that, we still all check a website. Before we drop 10 grand on a car, we go and check the website and make sure that the car company is a proper car company. And then we go onto review sites and see whether or not people just like us that have bought that product in front of us come back and say, yeah, I'm really happy with my purchase. And no, I'm not. The thing only lasts 3 weeks. And that's marketing's job, isn't it? To be less in these silos. We're responsible for that. I know what it is. It's campaign thinking. We're going to run a campaign. It's not about running a campaign. What it's about doing is about looking at how people buy across all of these different channels, and then not saying we lost the deal because if only we'd known they were going to go there. Okay. Yeah. Well, they're going to go there. So make sure what they see when they get there is the thing that ratifies you as being the people you should be buying. They should be buying from.
Tracy,
I think that's it. That's exactly it. I just want to share something that from my past where we had salespeople at the organization who would not give out their business card because the business card had the website on it, and they didn't want people going to the website because the website was going to confuse them.
Wow.
But did we update the website? No. we should have. But that's the thing. Yeah. Leah's saying stitched experience, and we've talked about that before on this show, is that there's not just one thing. All of these things are working together to create a mosaic experience of your brand.
Mosaic experience.
Are they better?
Hold on. Let me just write that down.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising.
Tim's got the blog going out right now.
So sales and marketing working together. It's surprising no one's written a book about that.
It is amazing that no one has, isn't it?
What could you call it? Sales and marketing.
I don't know. You could kind of.
Sales and marketing.
Males. Oh, wait, no, not males. No.
Some marketing.
You could read a book like that, couldn't you? Who wrote? Oh, look, there's Tim and me at the bottom of it. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. I'll send you your question.
Yep, 5%.
Tracy, I wanted to pick up on what you said regarding sales is about conversations. It is. It's conversations and relationships. But one of the headlines I had on my profile on LinkedIn for a while was, I'm great at the middle of conversations. Starting conversations is difficult. And that's what marketing should be there for. To get people to start the conversation, or to look at the book cover and discover that they want to read that book, to get closer to the brand, to engage in that conversation with sales.
Yeah, I totally agree. I always look at it as a invitation, right? Like, I'm inviting you into the conversation. And am I being inviting, or am I being, here's my storefront, right? Here's my storefront. Please walk by it.
So what happens if you include marketing in this, of course, but what happens if that whole invitation to have a conversation has been done by your supply chain team, your HR team, your HSEQ team, your operational people, your accountants. What if that invitation to have a conversation is being multiplied by an army of people who've got experience and history and competence and personality, and it's been done over social? So that's what we're talking about now. So my conversations that I'm having with modern marketing leaders is that it's okay, your role has changed, but don't be fearful of the fact that we're now into the point where your team need to be need to claim the influence titles that they're due, right? So your role, instead of just being, I'm going to crack on and I'm going to put up all these, and I'm metaphoric because I don't agree with the colouring and thing. I just want to make that clear. That was someone else. They're going around and putting the metaphoric posters up, doing their thing because we're marketing. I would offer today that an HSE person, operational, a leader, whoever it might be, a technical person, can do as much in terms of generating the space for those conversations as any of that old stuff did, maybe more. And I've got an example.
But before you give your example, I think the key thing here is that this is not about saying, and not that you were, but I think that some people are concerned that I'm in procurement because I don't want to sell stuff. I don't want to be having those new business conversations. Therefore, that's not my job. That's why I chose this particular career. But the reality is that your wife works for a company, Eric. If I want access to that company, the best thing to do is to engage you in a conversation so you can introduce me to your wife so that she can introduce me into that company. And the key thing here is that everybody has those people that they're influential with. I'm obviously not influential with my wife for obvious reasons, but people, that they have these, they have people that they're influential with, your life partner, your friends, your children, the people you went to university with, the people that you go to the pub with, all of those people. And we all have those networks. There may be 10 or there may be 10,000 in those networks. And when you mobilize everybody across an organization to have those conversations and to see the organization as being a valuable thing, Eric, doesn't your company do something like that? Yeah, because we all hear of these horror stories where somebody says, they're at a dinner party and they say, "God, we've just been through the most terrible recruitment procurement process. We had to buy a complete new IT infrastructure for our business, and we didn't know where to go." And someone else at the dinner table goes, "Oh my God, that's what my company does."
Best friend for 20 years.
Yeah. Simply that they didn't know.
To use your analogy from earlier, Adam, where marketing as the scientist, that's where marketing can come in and support the entire organization.
Driving the bus.
Person in procurement who has no interest in selling, they shouldn't be selling, but they should be part of the procurement conversation. And if they need help in starting that conversation, that's where marketing can use their scientific knowledge of that process to help them, to support them, to get that going.
Eric.
Yes.
Do you have an example?
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. So to emphasize my point, I'd just come off a call just before this with a chap called Stephen Harris. Stephen Harris is the Group Health, Safety, Security and Environmental Head at a large well services organisation here in Aberdeen. Stephen plays his life out on social, right? And he'll admit himself, he's self-taught, he does his thing. We're going to be exploring Stephen's life in social in a forthcoming new audio series starting next week called Social Things. And when
is that exactly, Eric?
That's on Tuesday at 4 p.m. UK time. All welcome. Popcorn on arrival. Stephen is I'm about to show you his LinkedIn feed. I hope he's not embarrassed if he's listening because I never told him I was going to do this. Can you see that?
Yeah, let me pop that up.
Yeah.
You got it? So this is Stephen Harris. He's the Group Head of Health, Safety, Security and Environmental Risk Management and all of that. Very skilled chap. Check out the network size. Right? Pretty hefty network size. Stephen, if I show his content, Stephen posts a lovely, rich, diverse mix of technical information presented in a humanistic tone. He'll give you an insight into his life. Recently got a dog. There's a dog playing at the beach. storytelling for children. This is a group health safe. Think back to when you were in industry and big corporate. Group health and safety, security and environmental specialist posting about storytelling, posting about software outages, posting about his views on things that are happening in the world, technical leadership issues on his sector, thought leadership perspectives on the kind of things that his company get involved in. He plays his life out on social. This is just a week's worth of content, articles, videos, all sorts of rich, diverse stuff. Commentary on the All Blacks, congratulating Ireland, say in France, things like that. Bits about baseball, bits about stuff. This guy is a health and safety professional, living his life on social. So what? So what, right? So what is second cheap plug of the week? Exactly. Still got the burrito to do, Andrew. Yeah, I'll get it in the end. The net result is that this guy, lots of conversations, lots of introductions. He's a health and safety security specialist, so lots of suppliers want to get around him and they see what he's interested in and all of that. He gets the pick of recruitment for his team across the world. He's got a global team because he's a social guy. I would offer that, I'm not talking about his company's marketing department, but I would offer that what Stephen is doing is the modern representation of modern marketing. And if that kind of behavior and that kind of culture and mindset is driven and channeled across an entire team and corralled and led by the marketing team with a new role, new sets of responsibilities, I now understand the corporate strategy. And as a team, we're going to focus those efforts this quarter on this. So let's get content plans. Let's get it all sorted and aligned up. This is where we're going to focus. These are the hashtags we're going to pump into, guys. And that's what we're doing. And we're going to measure our successes with that. It's new roles for marketing, not just doing what they did before and trying to do more of it and trying to do it on digital and making, in many cases, a bit of a pig's ear of it. So thank you to Stephen. Stephen is the very sort of definition of a modern professional who's living out his life on social and reaping in all the benefits from it. Getting those conversations, getting all that global reach and connection. And he's a health and safety guy. I think it's wonderful.
Completely agree. And it's absolutely a pinnacle that other people can look up to and say that's what we need to be doing. And you're right, it's marketing's job, isn't it, to support people on that journey.
I think it's also interesting.
As well.
Sorry, Will, you broke up there a bit.
Hit it, Will.
I think it's also a reflection of modern organizations that you get to a certain level, and okay, you may be responsible for a certain area, but effectively you're there as a business person, and you're there to represent not just your own particular function that you happen to be responsible for. And I think it's taking a much kind of broader perspective of, okay, what's my role? I've got a role in the organization and how I'm viewed internally, but also how am I going to project myself externally?
Brilliant.
Sorry, Tracy.
And I think that following on from that point, well, it's like I think that the business needs to say, either we can have loads of people looking at you, Will, you with your family, taking your daughter to university, going for a walk on the beach, being on holiday. We can look at you, or we can not look at the company. Because actually it isn't like we can look at you or the company, because people don't look at the company. Evidenced by the fact that, if everybody that's on the call posts one thing about their business and one thing about themselves and see which one gets the most traction. It's a very easy A/B to do.
That's challenging.
Well, I think one of the interesting things.
Just
I'm a big believer in that.
Plug number 4. Plug number 4. Thanks, Andrew.
And this is the thing I think is really interesting, because I think, well, like, looking at it just from like the procurement perspective, because that one came up, right? Like, aren't there relationships that you want to be building as a procurement professional? Like, we're not standing here and saying like you should show up as a salesperson for your organization. You should show up as a procurement professional who's trying to bring in the best partnerships, bring in the best ecosystem, right? Last week we talked about ecosystems. So like, it's not about you being a salesperson. It's about you showing up and building the relationships as a procurement professional that are valuable to you and your work and the overall company.
The word is influence. That's what it comes back to. You're not trying to sell, but you're trying to influence, and you're trying to create that. And I think, the marketing department's role is to, partly promote that internally, see how that's going on, and then start to kind of see what they can do to coordinate that in order to take that to the next level of effectiveness.
Bingo. Side note, Tracy, I interviewed a couple of months back a baby boomer procurement officer, and I asked, why is your LinkedIn profile on private? The answer was because too many suppliers contact me, showing me all their new products and services. I interviewed in the same company an almost millennial kind of procurement officer who is creating content and blah, 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 blah. And why do you do that? Because I need to be aware of all the suppliers' new products and services.
Different views.
Different perspectives.
Yeah, different perspectives. Same company, same hall, same pod.
Hey, something else I want to say, and I know Tracy and I have talked about this a lot, is that conversation piece. And like a lot of times I think people get a little bit nervous about having those conversations, but it's doing that over and over and over to where it becomes a little bit more, not awkward, but it's not quite as difficult. And I think that's oftentimes too very hard for people, is it's like, I'm a little nervous to have those conversations. And so the more we do it, the easier it becomes, right? And I'm sure that's exactly where Stephen, I love following all of his posts because he's done that. And over time, it does become easier.
Yeah. Yeah. He said he really struggled with content for about a year, and then it all just sort of soaked in once. And he was like, okay, I'm going to show you bits about me. I'm going to show you bits about what my history is. I'm interested in military, so I'm going to do some stuff about the military and compare that to business. And he said, I just got into this groove where actually now it's like, when Neo stops the bullets in the Matrix, he says, I don't ever have to think about what I'm going to post when I wake up because I've got a rhythm, I've got a cadence, and I know what I'm putting out there. And I actually know as a professional, and this is just a joy, what I'm trying to achieve. I know what I'm trying to achieve, and I'm getting it.
Well, and I think that's it. Like I'm just comparing that to like some of my social experience when I was in my marketing career, and this is what we do. Like, gotta post every day. Right? Gotta post every day. So like we would post every day, but then you're like, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no rhythm, right? Like there's just like I had a marketing coordinator whose part of his job was just to like go and find interesting stories that are related to our business, and we'll share them on social because we don't have enough to share as a business because we only have 8 products, right? So like we can't share about our products every day. That's like that's wrong. So we have to go and find all of this other content, and there was like so much time and effort that went into doing that. And so we had a post every day, but it wasn't telling a story, right? It wasn't building a relationship. It wasn't starting a conversation. And so I think these are the types of things that are important to keep top of mind when we are looking at what are we showing up to? All of us here, all of us in the chat, right? Like we have the ability to show up and create a space that people want to come to, or a space that people don't want to come to. And that human aspect of it is one of the reasons why people want to come there or don't want to come there. So are we doing that? And if we're not doing that, then why are we not doing that?
Mm-hmm. Big time. Can you just put Tim's last comment up? It's a shame no one's ever written a book about that. or about to release the second edition of a book about that. I hope you're giggling, sitting having a nice cream down at the Thames.
We've got books. We've got. There you go. There's the new version of that's coming out shortly.
Yeah, the new one. Yellow.
That's Tim's book.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
What we could say, we could also. There's actually a book about social strategy as well that was published by Pearson. That's just saying.
Just saying. I've got a copy of The Dandy down here, but I didn't write that. So
Viz.
That
I'm
bit of
glad you're just
personal
here for the
marketing,
shameless
Adam.
plugs, Vanessa.
Shameless plugs. I'm
We
just here
didn't
for the
plan all
shameless.
these shameless plugs for today. They just came up.
I thought my shirt would be the most outrageous thing today.
I was tempted when you came on to go ROBDURANT. I love it. I love it. Holiday mode. Just pop into you.
Tim just.
You guys are killing
This
it
is what we
today.
do
That's a win.
here.
That's a win.
So many
It's quite
laughs.
fun having Tim's show with Tim sitting watching it.
As a guest, yeah. So we are being a bit naughty, really, aren't we? Because
Yeah, we are.
It has gone a little bit off the rails, really.
No. Look, this one's all about marketing, and all you're doing is a bit of personal marketing. That's all.
Absolutely. Poor Tracy's like trying to. This is like a runaway train.
Runaway train. I don't know what happened, you guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
My guest editing abilities just got shaky.
It is though. You're right. It is absolutely. What we've got is we've got a huge number of comments from people and a huge amount of engagement from the audience, and there could be 1,000 people out there watching this, or there could be just the 20 people that have commented out there watching this. But we've struck up a conversation, and we're debating things in public, and they're joining in, and they feel that they're part of the. They feel they're part of it. They are part of the conversation. This is modern marketing, isn't it? Yeah. And the output from this isn't necessarily that somebody thinks you're an expert or the number one expert in the field. The output from this is they think, here's a nice person, I could do business with them. And actually, when marketing departments take that perspective on this and say, we're not going to use just a bunch of words. I saw on somebody's LinkedIn profile, their headline said, the 36th fastest growing company in the UK, in the US, sorry.
Yep.
And the whole point of that is that there are 35 better than you. Now, if you'd have said one of the top 50 fastest growing companies, that's great. But the 36th, it's like, I was the second best choice to marry my wife. Well, actually, this is not a plus thing, is it? And I think that so often, the story which is told is a story which is based on facts and figures rather than hearts. Sell to the heart, justify with the head, rather than the other way around. People don't believe or absorb facts in the same way, do they?
Well, he was memorable enough for you to remember that he's the 36th.
That's a very good point.
Just saying.
Clever lad.
Also drove me to investigate the other 35.
I actually bought from him. I placed an order.
I missed Tim's comment there.
This is the thing, right? Like
that's not true.
Are we
is
talking
it? Look,
about numbers? Or are we talking about standing out in the crowd? Because it speaks to both of those things, and I think that's an interesting part of the human experience, right? Is some people will look at that and be like, "Oh, 36. Like, I don't want someone who's the 36th. I want top 5 for sure, right? Like, I don't want 36." But some people will be like, that guy's so brave. He's saying that, like, he's 36. He's not pretending that he's number 2. Like, just being number 36. And some people might like that. I think this also speaks to, every different things speak to different people, right? And
the context again is important. Is it 36 out of 40 or 36 out of 35,000?
Yeah.
Well, and something that I want to say too, like when you say that, can you hear me? Okay, yeah. Is that I love to sit at this table because it allows me to see different perspectives. Like Adam hadn't thought about it the way that William just kind of shared, right? And so it allows us to see things differently.
Yeah,
I think that's important.
And my 36 plug, without a doubt. And did he just say that the show's better without? Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, that's nobody said that. Nobody said that.
Nobody
Tim.
said that.
We certainly didn't think
This
that.
one has been, but we never said that. This one has been for sure, but we
just
never
look at the Slack chat afterwards.
I think I'm now devoting a big portion of my professional life, and this might sound a little bit cheesy. It's not meant to, marketing used to be fabulous, right? Marketing drove the world, absolutely at the top of their game, driving all the successes of all the major brands that we grew up and loved and all of that, and in the B2B spaces as well. Lots of things have changed, and for many reasons, the old methods that they're still trying to use these days are not returning the kind of results that they would have expected. And my ambition and our ambition is to help put marketing back on top. Put marketing back on top, back in charge, roaring like lions and leading this new charge. Instead of resisting it or not paying attention to it, is grabbing the reins for this new charge and saying, okay, right, everything's changed. I don't have to sit in the corner and cry about the fact that my thing doesn't work anymore. Get over it. Move on, grab the reins, get yourself up to speed with everything, and just take your companies forward through this new digital portal and just claim that digital space. Claim it. And the marketing people can do this because they're probably best equipped to lead it and to be able to spend the time on crafting it and crafting out the company direction and all of that. So as far as I'm concerned, it's about putting marketing back on top where it belongs.
Yeah,
Well,
I like how
marketing
you
has kind
put
of
it
always
as
been
leading.
like that.
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead,
Go
Rob.
ahead, Tracy.
I was just going to say,
No one interfere. Just let them carry on like this. This is fun.
Rob, go.
I was just going to say, I like how you say it's marketing that is leading, and it's no more acting from the back of the room.
Yep.
And it's kind of the thing that marketing has always done, right? Like marketing has changed its face so many times, even since like I've been in the industry for like 20 years. And I remember when people were like, oh my gosh, Facebook, we need to be on Facebook. We got to have yeah, right. Everybody's got to be on Facebook. And I remember thinking like, okay, that's fine. What are we going to do on Facebook? Like, what's the point of us being on Facebook? Right? These are the types of conversations that marketing peeps have always had. And it's an industry that's going to continue to change and evolve because the way people buy and experience brands and all those things continues to change and evolve. So it's really part of our job as marketers to embrace that there's going to be something new and not just stay stuck in the thing that worked 60 years ago. And it doesn't change the fact that it worked 60 years ago, but it doesn't change the fact that it doesn't work today. So how are we going to be part of the conversation to let things go that are no longer contributing and to keep top of mind the parts of the conversation that are relevant today?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Obviously, there is a little bit of a challenge there for people, isn't there? Because you're telling me now that this particular form of marketing doesn't work. When did this stop working? Well, it hasn't worked for 5 years, really. Okay, so why are you telling me this now? Why didn't you tell me this 5 years ago? You know, it does open up a line of questioning. So people do need to get their stories straight about this. But I think that the challenge for marketing departments at the moment is that often the funding for what they do is not sustainable anymore, is it? Yeah. You know, because you spend money and it doesn't deliver something, and ultimately it only requires a very hard-nosed person to come in as CEO or CFO within a business and say, we've given you XD million and you've returned Y. And all of a sudden, for that person that is very data-driven, saying, well, it really helps with visibility. And, you know, we've got loads of clicks and impressions. They just say, I don't care. You know, show me the money.
Show me the money, yeah.
Yeah, show me the money.
And on that note...
Show me the money!
Next up is Thirsty Thursdays. Oh, that's a different show. Just not get it in. Plug show.
Yeah. We need to find someone that can read poetry as well, don't we, really?
Absolutely.
Oh dear.
I think this has been great, and yeah, it's been nice. I like the fact that you've claimed the entire responsibility for the show, and it's gone out on one channel, yours.
Well, did I not give you a sharing link?
No.
Oh dear.
At least it went out.
At least it went out. It was nice. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well,
Marketing
I'm sorry
tick
about that.
delivered.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, it has been a hoot. And you got any facts? Yes, I have got facts. So time for one last plug before we go. In an hour, Eric and I are going to be doing our weekly album review. And what's the album this week, Eric?
it's a cracker. It's a thumper. Well, I'm hoping you liked it. Elephant by the White Stripes. Very important album for me. Big one.
Do you know what today is?
Today is it Jack White's birthday?
It isn't. It is World Elephant Day, ironically.
Well, you are good.
Who
Well,
knew?
well, Prosecco Day, so we've been told.
Yeah.
Who
Hey,
knew?
listen, this is normally Tim's show. Let's just abuse the hell out of it. Let's get as many plugs in for other things.
We've run out of things to plug, though,
He's
haven't
not
we?
here. He's
We've
not here.
run out of things to plug.
You can just stop doing this and we can ignore it.
So, thank you all so much. It's been an absolute blast today. Thank everyone in the audience. Wonderful comments, and it's been a lovely way to round up the week. So, thank you all very much. See you all next week when hopefully normal service will be resumed. Bye. Have a great